Okay, today we're doing a limiting reagents lab, which is also use of the Bunsen burner lab, and we'll determine how to use the Bunsen burner safely and correctly, and figure out a limiting reagent from 3 different ingredients. And if we're really careful and have washed our hands really well, which we all will, we'll be able to use these ingredients and make a s'more, and then roast it on our Bunsen burner, which in this lab uses natural gas, which is cooking gas, and yeah, then we'll be able to eat our s'mores. Anyways, I'll show you the lab handout here.
Okay, so this is the lab handout for the uncertainty lab, or no, actually, for the limiting reagents lab. And you print this off from the course website. And if you read through the discussion here, it says that a G2 is a graham cracker. It's really made out of 2 pieces with a little sort of a stitched together line in the center, and I'll show you that in the video here. The DM is the dairy milk bit. It's each little section, I suppose, of a dairy milk chocolate bar. And M is the marshmallow. And so in the balanced equation, 2 G2s, 2 graham crackers, and 4 DMs, and 1 M can produce 1 s'more. So that's the formula of the s'more right there. So in your baggie, and I guess you guys are doing this on the internet, so you weren't in the class. In your baggie, there were 3.5 G2s. There were 2 M's. And there were, let me just think here, there were 12 DMs. So use those numbers to calculate the number of s'mores you could possibly make. Once you've done that, then you check your answer with the teacher, then you light your Bunsen burner according to the directions that were given in class, or the ones that are going to be given here on the video, and make your s'more. Careful not to burn it. You don't really want burned sugar for a whole bunch of reasons, but anyway, some people like burned marshmallows, but I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. Anyways, try not to burn it, certainly not too much. Anyways, once you're done that, look on the back side and write your calculations in right here. If you've already written them over on the other side of the page, that's fine. You don't have to write them here. For question 5, just use those numbers and run through the same calculations. You'll get a different answer, of course. And complete the lab handout and pass it in.
Okay, so these are my ingredients. Let's see here. I've done my calculations. I know how many s'mores I can make. So you'll notice that I don't know if you can see this or not on this one. Maybe you can. If I hold it up like that, maybe you can see there's sort of a dotted line right down through here, and another dotted line right down through there. So that if I divide that this way, and if I divide it again this way, whoops, that's the diatomic part. So we consider that to be 1 G2. Okay, so now I'm going to break this into the correct amount of pieces. Guess there's some extra. And that, and one of those, that's a s'more. Now, we'll talk with the Bunsen burner. Okay, in order to light a Bunsen burner, this is a Bunsen burner. That's the hose. You inspect the hose, make sure that it's all no holes in it, not cracked up, and secured well here. The way you light it is you turn the barrel down. Maybe you can see that this barrel turns. And you turn it down so that, if I open this up, you might be able to see a gap right in here. So you close that down and you don't get too carried away. So don't tighten it very tight. On the bottom there's a valve. Close the valve all the way by turning to the right clockwise and close it all the way. Don't crank tight on it. And then open it up about 3/4 of a turn. So around like that. Now, barrel threaded down, the valve open about 3/4 of a turn, attach your hose to the gas outlet. And it doesn't have to be on super tight, but it has to be fairly secure and firm. Now, before you start turning on the gas, make sure that you know how to make a spark. So practice a little bit. Yep, we know how to make a spark. Okay, so now, with your valve open 3/4 of a turn, your barrel threaded down, you're ready to light the Bunsen burner. So open the main valve on the gas and light the Bunsen burner. And you'll notice a yellow flame. Now, normally, if you're using this in chemistry lab, you want a blue flame with a central cone. The way you get that is by opening up this barrel. Now, notice we didn't thread it very tight. You open up the barrel, and it starts to roar a little bit. Can you hear that? Anyways, and there's a central cone, which is the hot part of the flame, and that's what we use. For this lab, we actually want to open up or close down the barrel a little bit so we get some yellow flame there. Because we want to be able to see the flame. You don't want to close down completely, but yeah, something like that. Now we're ready to make our s'more. Okay, so we've got our flame burning like crazy here. I'm just going to open that up a little bit to turn the yellow down a little bit. That's probably pretty good. I'm going to take a bamboo skewer. I'm going to take my marshmallow. So I'll just put it on there. Don't want the skewer sticking out because I don't want it to catch fire. And I'll just roast my marshmallow. Careful not to catch it on fire. You just want to caramelize the sugars. That's that smell that you get, and when it turns a little bit brown, that's called caramelization. It's changing the molecular structure, I suppose, of the sugars. And depending on what the sugar is, it'll give a different odor. Also, depending on what the temperature is, it'll caramelize it in a different way. We'll talk more about caramelization in class. Whoops. Okay, I've caramelized my marshmallow. There's my chocolate and my graham cracker. Whoops. Actually burned it a little bit. That's probably not a good idea to burn it very much. Some people like that, but probably not that good an idea. There, that's a s'more. Ready to eat.